Hello, my name is Robin. I'm back again, continuing our series on legacy planning. Glad to see you back in the place. Today's conversation will be identifying assets. So when creating your legacy plan, it's important to identify the various types of assets that a person owns and how you want family members to manage those assets. There are a large amount of assets that can be passed down, and I'm going to go over a few of those today. Number one, financial assets. These are your bank accounts. These are your stock accounts. These are your mutual funds, your bonds, your government treasuries, things that you find on paper that are related to financial institutions. Most of the time, a family member will have already listed a beneficiary for these assets, and you may or may not be aware that you're one of those beneficiaries. But as a mother of children myself, I would rather let my children know ahead of time that if something happened to me, this is what I want you to do with these things. Maybe pay off a house, maybe pay for college, maybe put somebody through school with it. Real estate. So real estate in our community is such a big topic because there are so many, even within the city of Philadelphia, is over 10,000 tangled titles where a loved one passed away and that property is still in that individual's name, but a family member's living in that property. Investors come along and scoop that property right up from under you or raise the taxes so high, and then you don't have control over the ownership of that property because you never took the time to switch the title out from grandma over to whoever's in charge of it at the time. So that's so very important because it becomes a disputable object, and most people that pass on in life, they don't want the things they worked their lifetime to attain to be argued over at the end of their life. So the properties in our community to consider are our family housing. A lot of folks in our community have housing, maybe down south and places like that you're not even remembering because maybe you never went there as a child, or a family member talked to you about it, but you never took the time to find out anything else about it. So all of these things are to obtain knowledge now while your loved one is alive and well, and have conversations on, well, how do the property taxes get paid, and how do we keep it maintained, and what else do you need to do? How can I make sure that your wishes are carried out in the long run so that other family members can benefit from your lifetime of commitment to your family? So business documents is where you want to keep track of any businesses that you started, any digital information such as photographs, passwords. That might even be a separate category that we can go into. You want to have that consolidated somewhere because your loved one may not know your wishes with regard to your business. Sometimes you see, businesses where, grandpa owned a deli, or grandpa owned the restaurant, and it goes down from generation to generation to generation because it was a well thought out and a well communicated plan that made the family members know, hey, we have this business that you can continue on and have a way to make money and take care of your family even after I'm long gone. And so these are conversations that family members should be having together to say, okay, this is a business that's been established, it's well established, and it can pass down this way. And out of the scope of this business, if Junior comes along and says, hey, I want to start a car dealership. I know we have a deli, but I want a car dealership. There's a way for this business to continue by you documenting who you want to manage that business. That business can continue with maybe a loan or a line of credit issued to Junior who wants to launch, his photography business or whatever the case may be. So all of these things are so important, and we just throw to the wayside because we don't take the time to, one, have the conversation, two, have the plan. So number 4, intellectual property. Intellectual property is the concepts and thoughts that are in your mind. So think of like a Michael Jackson catalog of ideas and songs. Anybody can sing them, but they can't sing them like him. So the words are there, but the iterations and everything that come along with who that person was and is. How do you take all of that information or all of that presence and persona and store it and keep it in a way that your family can honor it? And a lot of times that gets passed through the wayside. It gets tossed by the wayside because people don't know how to have the story that goes behind it. I just recently honored my mom for Martin Luther King Day because she was one of the background people that worked with, literally took her credit card and used it to buy the buses to do the March on Washington. Who knows that story other than me and my brother sitting around the dinner table? The only way I knew to honor my mom recently was to take her to lunch on Martin Luther King Day. But nobody else has that story about her. And she's still standing this day. The only person that can give her flowers for that is me and my brother, because nobody knew she was an important behind the scenes administrative person, But I wanted to also say that intellectual property is known as goodwill. And the value of goodwill is based on the product that has been developed from your thoughts and your ideas, okay? Life insurance. Life insurance is important in your legacy plan because that is what you are passing down to the next generation for whatever reason. But there are ways to set up your particular goals using your life insurance, and that's through a whole life policy, which that's a whole nother subject we'll get into at another time. But once you do identify who your beneficiaries are with life insurance, you want those beneficiaries to know what your idea is for that. I have a client who has specifically said that they want the life insurance to go to older family members. They want it to be managed in a way that benefits family members honoring their birthdays, or if they have medical issues or things like that, that we are able to help them fulfill, enjoy longevity. A lot of times people think, life insurance, whoever the beneficiary is just going to splurge and go crazy. But there are instructions that come with that, or that should come with that. And you should be thinking about what those instructions are going to be that you want to give that individual. They may carry it out and they may not. If they honor you and they honor your life and the things that you did for them or meant to them, then they're going to carry out your instructions to the best of their ability. So retirement accounts. Retirement accounts are similar to life insurance or cash value accounts, because typically they are, a cash equivalent according to the IRS, and those accounts are passed down. They can be passed down in the form to an individual or a trust, whoever is next to kin. But in that regard, you want to make sure you go out your way to list the beneficiary so that person knows your intention with respect to that. So trust. Trust is a way to pass down your portfolio without having to go through probate. And setting up a trust account with responsible managers in your family, that's another conversation that you want to be having along the way, and not just dump that in somebody's lap to figure out after the fact or when they're grieving. You want to say, hey, here's my house. I don't want it sold. I want to keep it in the family. If there's a family member that's down on their luck, please feel free to rent this property. Use this property for family reunions. Use this property for family gatherings so that you can, by all means, do whatever it takes to keep the family together. Those are instructions you would document in your trust agreement. And a trust can list all of the things we mentioned above. You can put all that in your trust. And also, when you do set up a trust, you would do that through an attorney, and there's going to be a fee associated with it. But I guess you have to verify. I guess the argument with that is whatever the fee is that attorney charges, at least it gets rid of the aggravation on the back end of everybody not knowing what to do when something happens to you. Charitable giving. So lots of times you hear stories like the Rockefellers gave a building, or so-and-so gave money to a hospital. But we as a community can set up the same types of charitable giving through the institutions that we found valuable in our lifetime, whether it's a mosque or a church or a hospital or a nursing home, or even education. A lot of times I've found that scholarships are a good way to set up charitable giving, particularly in your family or in your place of worship, where you want to make sure that somebody that may not have money for books for school or whatever, they can get a scholarship to be able to go to school. I was gifted that when I was in, right before I went to college. I got a $500 scholarship from my church from people who decided to set up a charity. And so these are things to consider along the way that you want to use as a way to keep your name and your efforts and your vision and your identity going. Digital assets. The importance of digital assets. That's something we don't think about because it's kind of new in scope. But I remember having a situation where someone I know passed away, and he was a very prominent person in society, and no one had access to his laptop. And everything that we needed to plan the funeral and things like that was in this person's laptop. And no one had the code word, the password to the laptop. So this individual did everything with his laptop. I mean, everything. All of the photographs of the family in the laptop. He was a pastor. All of the sermons were in the laptop. Just everything, all the emails in the laptop, every single thing. And we found out later in life that he had a little assistant who was a young guy. He was about 10 or 11 at the time, but he was helping him put all the digital data together, the photographs, the this, the that, because he was helping him compile his sermons and the MPs and the CDs and things like that. And when this individual passed away, we had no idea that the 10-year-old knew the password. We totally overlooked the fact that to ask that person that young person what the password was. So it created a complication when it came time to plan a funeral because we had no information because it was all housed in the digital assets. So that is one strong one. Somewhere you need to write down those passwords. You need to write down your emails, your contacts, the importance of whoever you would want to contact. It's not just dealing with digital assets in the sense of a laptop, but you also have passwords for your phone. You have passwords for all of the above, the financial statements, and all of those things. Digital assets include your cameras, your microphones, all of the things that you use to create media, social media. Somebody may need a password to your social media account, your LinkedIn profile, your whatever. Instagram might have all your best photos and somebody doesn't know how to log into that. So all of this needs to be written somewhere in a safe place where a loved one like a daughter or whoever has access to it and is aware of where to find it. So like in my case, I have everything in here and my daughter knows, grab the pink book that says documents and she'll know how to find or locate most of the stuff that pertains to me. Why this conversation is important to have and why it's important to take inventory of all of your assets is because in our culture, again, like I said earlier in an episode, we're always looking at what we don't have and what we're yet to achieve. Oh, I want to get the Lamborghini, and oh, I want to fly over here, and I want to do this, and we have not taken the time to methodically take stock of what we've already attained. Some of us will realize that, hey, our net worth is way greater than what we even thought it was, because we are a debt-based society, so all we're thinking about is paying the next bill and the next bill and the next bill. But somewhere along the way, you've acquired that camera equipment or that house you're living in or the car you just paid off. And these are assets that need to go organized in an inventory book so that you can keep track of what you have. And peradventure, anything happen to you, I want the car to go to my son who travels all the time. I want the camera to go to my niece who always followed me around to learn my craft. I want the photographs to go to her, the pictures that I took, so that your memory can live on. I remember my grandmother saying that it's what you do for others that cause your memory to live on. And so that's the summary of what we're trying to attain, how to pass down the lifestyle that you crafted. So I hope you learned something today, and I hope you took this conversation to think about some of the things that you want to share and pass down to your loved ones for when the time comes. It's a storyline that unfolds throughout the lifespan of your life, but it gets carried along once you pass on. It's a storyline that you want your loved ones to pass on about you. So if you have more interest and would like to book a call, feel free to book using the link below, and we'll be looking forward to speaking to you.